The chapter starts with Road and Nami bringing the giant guards back to the village in Slar. Nami is complaining that there was no huge treasure in the castle. Road is calming her down, afraid that the guards might hear Nami's words. Cut to Ripley and Frankie that continue the tour of Treasure Tree Adam. Frankie says that there are more things in the Adam Tree worth seeing than he could ever have imagined. Ripley imagines giants have been living on top of branches of a humongous tree, and that's why there's a rich history associated with each of them. Suddenly, Frankie sees a massive Adam Tree branch that was cut down. We see part of the branch that is still connected to the tree. Frankie says, "Whoa, what is that?" Ripley says, "There was once a village named Haugen on that branch. One day, lightning struck the village, setting it aflame. The thing with these ancient branches is that once they are lit, the fire doesn't go away. In order to prevent the fire from spreading to other branches, we had to cut off the whole branch along with the burning village on it." Frankie says that must have been tough. As legendary as Adam is, I guess this is something inevitable once a tree gets old. Ripley says, "We may say lightning and fire are Elbaf's only weaknesses." That could be some foreshadowing, and we'll get into that. But I think the mention of the branch coming down here could be how a lot of the Adam Tree wood got circulated into the world, possibly, because the Thousand Sunny is comprised of Adam Tree wood. And I'm not really sure if this is literally just a random lightning strike, like from the weather, or if it was from hockey, or if it was from a devil fruit user. But Ripley saying, "We may say lightning and fire are Elbaf's only weaknesses," that's probably hinting as to what's going to happen at the end of this arc, because Ragnarok essentially has to happen, and fire is a big part of that. Whether it's Loki that causes it, or someone else with hockey lightning, or another devil fruit that causes this, or just the fight in general causes a fire, we'll see, but I do think that this is foreshadowing. Cut to the Western Village. Nami is back at the party, and she's talking with a drunk Usopp. Usopp says, "Nami, where'd you go? And I don't see Luby or Roro anywhere." Nami says, "Don't know, probably exploring." And Usopp says, "I see, that's good." Yorl arrives at the table on which Nami and Usopp are. Usopp says, "Hey, Yorl, check out our genius navigator here." Yorl says, "What a beauty." Usopp says, "You pervert, Graham, what's your type?" And Yorl says, "Blah, my type, an older woman." Usopp jumps and slaps the sword on Yorl's head, which hurts Yorl a lot. Usopp says, "Like someone like that would exist. You're the eldest of the whole world." Okay, yeah, Usopp drunk and a little uncharacteristic, but never mind. Maybe this does line up with Usopp's personality. But I was talking about this yesterday, Yorl's mention of an older woman, and I forgot that the title of this chapter is An Older Woman. And I mentioned before that this is probably important, but I didn't really want to try to analyze it too deeply. But now that I read the full dialogue here, how Usopp says, "You're the oldest in the world," he's definitely not, because, there is Emu and the Gorosei, and maybe, stay with me, maybe this is referring to Emu? Because, there's the whole theories about her being a woman, or originally a man that swapped bodies with Nefertari D. Lily, possibly, or something like that. And it's also heavily implied, at least straight up said by Ivankov, that Emu has the perpetual youth surgery from the Ope Ope no Mi performed on them. So is this, referring to that? Maybe, I don't know, let me know in the comments. Nami sits next to Jinbei looking at Usopp's drunk tactics. Nami smiles, saying that it was Usopp and Luffy's dream to come to Elbaf. Meanwhile, Sanji notices that Gerd is absent from the party, so he starts looking for her. We cut now to Road that is bringing the giant guards for Gerd to treat. Gerd tries to ask him what happened, but Road tries to hide the truth from her. In the end, Gerd beats up Road, lol. So yeah, these are the giant guards that got wrecked by Gunko when they first got introduced a couple chapters back, and they're being treated by Gerd here. And now we see that Sanji is going to find Gerd, of course, because he's Sanji and Gerd is attractive. But hopefully this is a way for Sanji to find out about the Holy Knights being at Elbaf, because no one knows that, right? We've got 3 of them, and they're about to kidnap a bunch of kids. Cut to Luffy and Zoro. They are down at the underworld, and find Loki in a near-death state. Luffy tries to unlock the chain, but it's made of Kairoseki sea stone, so he gets weak once he touches it. Zoro and Luffy argue, and Zoro says it's not safe to release Loki yet. He needs to talk to Loki first to determine what type of person he is. Zoro walks to Loki and kicks his wound, and Loki screams in pain. Zoro says, okay, so this injury isn't fake. Luffy says, he's almost dead. And Zoro says if he dies, this is as far as his fate takes him. Luffy says, man, you're so mean. Then Zoro agrees to release the chains, but he will keep one cuff at Loki's ankle intact. Luffy says that he will go get Chopper, but since the Owl Library is too far away, they should get the village's doctor instead. Zoro says that if that alerts giants of them liberating Loki, they surely will be banished. Luffy says he doesn't care. He'll call a doctor from the village. Luffy also says that they need to get some meat because no one can recover if they don't eat meat. Zoro looks at the defeated animals near Loki. He says, you have plenty of meat lying over there. Luffy angrily says, don't say that ever again. They're my friends. I'll go hunt something else in the mountain. Zoro says they're meat all the same. And Luffy, even more angry, says, you obviously don't eat your buddies. And Zoro says, okay, my bad. When Luffy is about to head to the village, he hears something coming from the sky. Luffy and Zoro see Hajrudin and his crew, with Sanji falling down on a Sklar. Hajrudin heard everything from Road and rushes down to stop Luffy and Zoro. But since they were in such a rush, Hajrudin's crew didn't take a normal elevator and rode a Sklar down. The Sklar ends up falling since there is no island cloud at lower level. In an amazing double page, Luffy uses the Gomu Gomu no Fusen to help all of them. Luffy's body swells up a lot to stop the Sklar. Hajrudin cries with joy to see Luffy, but the Sklar bounces with great force, and all of them except Gerd and Sanji fly away again. Hajrudin and his crew manage to meet up with Luffy again. They are severely injured, lol. They thank Luffy for his help, since a fall from that height would mean instant death. Then Hajrudin asks Luffy not to release Loki. He says, please, Straw Hat, reconsider your decision to liberate Loki. You must not trust Loki. He's cunning and cruel. He's evil, an irredeemable villain. We know him from when he was just a brat. If he had told you anything pleasant, that is no doubt just a scheme. He's a sinister man who'd casually kill someone whom he called a friend just yesterday. He's an enemy to the world. And Zoro says, a little late for that. Hajrudin says, huh? In an absolutely epic final double page of the chapter, we see Loki has gotten up, although he still has a cuff on his left ankle. Loki is in front of Luffy and looks very angry. His face is shadowed. Loki's size is colossal. Luffy looks like an ant next to him. And the new giant warrior pirates are in shock. They say, it's Loki! And Luffy says, what? He should be passed out. Hajrudin looks at him defiantly, while Loki grabs his weapon with a malevolent smile on his face. Hajrudin says, stop, Loki! Stay away from the Ragnir! Kanji means Iron Thunder, end of chapter, no break next week. Wow, here we go! Loki is kind of free. He has the ankle lock on him, which is actually very smart by Zoro. Yeah, but now that Loki's up, he grabs his weapon, which is a hammer. I guess this is supposed to be like the One Piece version of Mjolnir, because Oda has kind of made Loki a fusion of Thor and Loki, I guess, right? Because Hajrudin, if anything, is supposed to be like the Thor of Elbaf, but he's not very Thor-like, especially power level-wise. But I guess we're gonna see what Loki is kind of capable here. We're probably not gonna be able to see his Devil Fruit ability since he is still chained with Sea Stone. But the fact that he is chained and he can still stand up and grab his weapon is incredibly impressive and just showing us how unbelievably powerful he must be. I mean, as it was implied before, Shanks became a Yonko because he defeated Loki. Meaning that Loki, I don't know, may have been a Yonko in the past. It's not confirmed, of course, but man, he's definitely probably at that level. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he's probably around the level of Kaido. And speaking of Kaido, I'll have a video linked at the end of this one where I talk about the theory and the possibility of him being Kaido's half-brother. I actually talked about that with Sai, so check that out. But let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this chapter. What do you think about Loki? What's he going to do? Is this the One Piece version of Mjolnir that he is grabbing? Let me know. And if you like the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.